we had this little clip from Real Talk.
They just pop a bunch of pills and then start talking afterwards.
We off the
We're gonna
perch.
have a normal conversation, then we're gonna take a bunch of Xanax, and then we're gonna try it again. Let's go.
This guy, that's how I know you're from the valley. Xanax. All right, here we go.
So in a society, you said the patriarchy, right?
Right.
Would you be willing to give away the benefits that you receive from living in a patriarchal society to make stuff more equal? The benefits as a woman.
No.
Then you can't talk about the patriarchy. If you're not willing to give up the stuff that you gain from living in the patriarchy,
But we don't live in an alternate society. We're trying to develop the change.
We're trying to
We're
get
not there yet.
But for us to get there, you have to give up the stuff that you benefit from.
I don't want to.
So then
That's tough.
Then shut up.
How's that been working out for you?
I've been single for 6 years.
So in a society.
So yeah,
What?
pause.
Damn.
Yeah, that was cold. I didn't really want to apply that specifically to the whole patriarchy thing and female privilege from the patriarchy. I just want to focus specifically on overall privilege and forever privilege you have that in that you want to change. For example, you could apply it to climate change. Like if you feel like there should be climate change, but you're not sitting here recycling or watching your quote unquote carbon footprint, or the fact that you have an iPhone, like all these other stuff you could say that make people hypocrites. Like I think that can be applied to all like that overall generally. And do you think that's a good point?
Restate your point or your question.
Just basically like not try to broaden that question more instead of to female privilege within the patriarchy, more just over a general aspect of a privilege within something that you specifically want to change. And I use instead of the female privilege in patriarchy, I applied it to instead like climate change. Like if you believe in climate change and want to change the climate, are you willing to make a change to your privileged life within that will help facilitate that?
Okay. I mean,
I would say yes, but it depends on the decision, or it depends on the matter that I'm dealing with. Like, for example, climate change, like, yeah, I mean, I recycle, I already do that stuff, and I consciously had to do it because people back home where I grew up, they don't do it. And then now, even when I go home, I'm like, hey, do you do this? And they're like, no, we don't. I'm like, okay. So there are things like I'm willing to deal with. This whole matriarchy thing, like I've never really had an issue with since I grew up with my mom. And so like I've been under a matriarchy for the extent of my life. It's actually been odder trying to adapt to patriarchal settings than it has been to matriarchal ones.
so is the question, should we be able to give up those privileges, or is the question, do you think people will?
I guess to be more accurate, how I feel the sentiment is will, because I don't think.
Do I think people will give up the privileges that would?
That's basically what he was asking. Would you? And she said no. So I guess you had to apply that to the other things. Do you think people are capable, willing, whatever, to give up privileges for some kind of positive change?
Well, that's kind of a hard thing once you get older, because once you get older, you get set in your ways.
Yep.
So given this person's age, you don't know if she's already just set in her ways. She's not willing to give it up. And so like that's kind of it. Like what if you're a Democrat, but you start looking at Republicans and start going like, damn, like they're actually doing some things I agree with. Am I willing to give them my blue card for a red card? Like what the fuck?
Probably not.
Like, yeah, it depends. I mean, there has to be something that changes them.
I think that question is crazy because as we get more close to like people operating in extremes, that question actually won't even apply. Because if I'm
What do you mean?
if I'm like pro green, pro health, pro vegan, I'm already living that lifestyle. I want people to change their lifestyle, not me. And so as we start operating in the extremes, the privileges that I would have to give up for the things that I want, I would have already given up. I want other people to give up. I'm not worried about the things that I don't want to give up, because those aren't things that then apply to anything I want. I don't think people are trending towards wanting things that takes their privileges away. You know what I'm saying? You would have to want something that would knowingly take your privilege away.
Well, it's more of bringing a little bit of shedding some light on the fact that you have these unknowable privileges. Like I'm pretty sure she's aware, but doesn't want to admit that she has female privilege within a patriarchal society, and she's only focusing on the negative aspect of it. And that's why I asked her, we don't talk about the positives of it. You guys talk about endlessly about the negatives of being a woman in a patriarchal society. We get that. But there are some positives that y'all don't want to talk about. And since we address that there are positives, are you going to give them up? No.
But that's to my point. She actually doesn't want to live in another type of society. You get what I'm saying? Like, but your point was she's verbalizing was
changing, though. That's why
that's what I'm saying. She's verbalizing. First off, she hasn't even verbalized she wants to live just using their example, in a matriarchal society. He's asking, will you be one? If we move to that society, would you be willing to give up your benefits are in this society? And she's saying no. Now, she can say whatever she wants, but if she's not willing to give those things up, that means she does not want to live in that type of society. You get what I'm saying? It's just words. It's like me saying, oh, I want to live in the wild, wild west. Do you believe everybody should have guns? No. Then I technically don't want to live in the wild, wild west. So that's why I said it's still, if we're just using words just to talk, then yeah, sure. But in her heart of hearts, if she likes things the way things are, no matter what she says, she's choosing what society she likes to live in. Therefore, the question doesn't even apply to her anymore because she's just talking to talk.
Kind of goes to the conversation we had about the whole Twitch leaks with Hassan Piker. Like, if you actually had these morals and characteristic traits and ideals, like, you'd actually live them. The way you action things out would align with what you actually believe.
You got me. Boom. That's exactly what I'm saying. So she can say, like, I get the conversation because she's saying, oh, no. But she's not fighting for a matriarchal society that hard then.
She's complaining about it, I guess. Yeah. I didn't see the full thing, but based on this clip, it seems like she's, complaining about it.
Complaining, but, like, that she really like, if she actually got the choice to make the buttons and she would see what she would lose versus what she would gain.
So I guess to keep it to this example, because I wasn't trying to keep it to this example, but I guess for sake of conversation, is, do you think that's a majority or a minority?
I think the majority of people will complain about something but not actually apply the changes that they think they want into their life in a realistic way, and understand that some of those principles they're a little looser on than they think they are. She might have complaints about the patriarchy and stuff like that, but she might actually just want to make changes to it as opposed to living in a, I hate saying these fucking words, matriarchal society.
Said them a few times today.
Man, what?
One too many, huh?
Man, fucking
matriarchy,
mouthful.
patriarchy. Say it real fast.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I think I definitely agree with that. It gets convoluted though when you implement social media, because if there are voices that actually want to live in a matriarchal society and like truly matriarch, like they are like the vanguard of like the workers and stuff like that, and all of a sudden men have to take a back step or stuff like that. Women all of a sudden have to start paying for drinks and stuff like that, doing things like that, like whatever the costs are.
I'm okay with having my drink paid for.
Dynamic and switch. Yeah, I'm okay with it too, right? Like I'm just like, it's different. Let's try it.
I draw the line when it comes to getting my ass smacked.
That's a different conversation.
I walk in the house, I just want my girl to smack my ass. Oh my God, it's boxing match.
Bro, you don't want to be walking somewhere like down the street, some girl grabs your ass. You're just like, what the fuck?
I'm walking down the street, some girls are, look at him. Bring that ass over here. I'm a black girl. God damn.
Cars honking while you're walking
God.
by. No, but what I'm saying is that, like, there's some voices in social media that are really loud that actually genuinely want that, and I wonder how much society interprets those loud voices as a representation for the majority.
It's an interesting question you have there, Doc.
Yeah, that's why when you said it, it's like I don't know how you would take a consensus of that. Like you would just genuinely have to ask people or poll or something like that.
That could never happen either, because first off, if a group of women are like, oh my God, look at him, come here.
Well, even outside of this example, like, even to the broad example, like there's a majority or minority of people willing to sacrifice privilege for something.
I think a majority.
Willpower question, bro. Because I
guess you're right. That is a willpower question.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I want a fucking 6-pack, but I ate a pizza today, dude. So it's a fucking hard call, man.
Dude, mine was burritos.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what I say, majority, because you haven't put a limit on what you're actually giving up. So that could be the smallest thing.
Then is it sacrifice? Because usually when I associate sacrifice for a big gain, it's not something little. That's why I think.
But
it's
all
minority,
the things that you would have to apply to society would have to be incremental. It couldn't be like Like we'd all have to play a part in
I
that
agree,
thing.
but usually it's incremental because the change is a big change.
No, I
Because the
agree with
change is a big
that.
change,
Like,
it
for example-
requires, I would argue, something alchemy, equivalent exchange, something also as big for the sacrifice.
Okay, so for example, if we're talking about recycling, right? We all give up using plastic bottles. That's not a big sacrifice for me personally,
well, the
but it's
reason
a
why-
big change.
I get what you're saying, but that's I guess that's the point that I want to focus on. Is it's a big change because a change in your habitual nature is hard to do.
And I think a majority of people would, if it's something as small as giving up using plastic
I
bottles,
don't know, man.
would do it. I think a
I think
majority
it's-
of people
I
would.
think it's a minority. The reason why I say it's minority is because I don't know if it's a bad example. My example would be with the masks.
The what?
The masks.
Mhm.
Right when we were not mandated, but when it became a social thing to wear masks because of COVID.
Mhm.
What was the next thing that was being littered like crazy? Masks. People I just don't think have the.
Your evidence is right there. Then they don't believe in the mask like they say they do. It's just the words. That's what I'm saying. It's just words. At the end of the day, the actions are the mask are on the ground.
Okay, I see what you're trying to say.
Yeah, like it's just
The
they can
hypocrisy
say
of it
whatever.
would be a majority,
Boom.
But the actual I see. Okay.
So the
we're saying
majority-
they agree. It's just we view it differently.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just feel like people are being fake.
Agree.
Is essentially what I'm saying.
Same.
Like,
yeah.
Yo, you made it to the end. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching Fake Deep Thinking. If you like the show, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and to share. We really appreciate everything and appreciate you. So take it easy. Peace.
Peace.
Have a good day.